The Houston Cougars edition of the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is brought to you by Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with $1,000 in prizes. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And welcome back to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is the final day in July, and we are moving along with our team preview. So we're moving. We've got West Virginia covered. We got Cincinnati covered because they are preseason 14 and 13. So we move along to number 12, and that is the newcomers of Houston Cougars coming over from the American Conference. If you're wondering who you're listening to, I am one of your hosts, Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, and I am joined each and every episode by my co-host. First up, he was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family names in Iowa. He lives in Morgantown, West Virginia, is a West Virginia University grad. He is Rambling Rush. What is going on, Rush?
Believe it or not, I actually have family. It just hit me 2 hours outside of Houston. So you might be able to add that one on to the next one. But hey, real quick, you guys did a great episode with Colorado joining the Big 12. Sorry, I couldn't make it there, but I was thinking about it. Our great graphic guy, Cameron Kerr. What we now need is for every Big 12 team that's added right in the bottom, we'll need to do like a caret and then insert it at the top. So
yeah, like a raise to the Colorado power.
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll raise it up. So like that's what we need. Now that we got the upside down horns, we need to raise it to the Colorado power, and I guess we'll see what's next from there.
Should we have him start adding talents to the 12 logo? Like, should it be 15 by now or 16 or something like that? Like when Oklahoma and Texas officially leave, we'll drop it back down 2 numbers and then pump it back up.
I can't wait to hit the backspace on the Longhorns and Sooners here. Sneak peek, Cameron Kerr is already working on the graphics, but I talked to him earlier today. We were going to say, let's add Colorado in when we figure out who that, I guess, new 14th team is. I'm losing track of how many teams are in this damn league with all addition, subtraction. But yeah, go check out our Colorado preview last week. We gave the over 3.5. I was on the under, and then they announced they're coming to Big 12, so they automatically had another win or two in this preview. So welcome to the Big 12 Colorado Buffaloes. Can't wait for you guys in 2024. And sneak peek, I think we got one more at least coming here soon. But those watching on YouTube, the guy in the middle, he's batting in the 3-hole today. He's always batting in the 3-hole, and he has family ties everywhere in the Big 12. Hey, hell, he's probably got some family ties in Colorado, Boulder area. He's got Texas. He's got Oklahoma. He's got Central Florida, the very, very Golden Knights, and Cincinnati. He is the Big 12 guru, Troy Chewning. What's up, man? Long time no talk.
I've got multiple buddies that this is an actual area in Moffett, Colorado. It's called Area 420. I've got multiple buddies that run full-on industrial farms out there. I am pumped for Colorado coming to the Big 12 for one really highly rated reason.
Colorado might be able to knock. I know everyone at UCF is so mad that they're number 3 and not. So Colorado might be able to sneak in there where UCF is, and then UCF might finally get their wish to pop them all the way down to be rated the U in the alphabetical order.
There are going to, like, I know this for a fact right away. There are going to be fraternities that are organizing trips to the away game to Colorado just to road trip back, like one-way flights, just to rent a car and road trip back with 5 to 7 pounds of weed. And they're not going to stop them. It's going to happen. It's just going to make the league even better.
So when we take
on top of those bath salts, we'll just put more weed.
So, Troy, when we take this show on the road, are you going to be advocating that we go to Colorado every other week so that you can visit your new friends?
I might just stay.
Hey, guys, game day again in Colorado.
If the first week is cool enough, the first choice, it might not even be a choice. I might have to stay. And then from that point on, I'll be like, oh man, my tolerance is through the roof. I'm just staying here.
And we'll pick your ass up on our way to Provo or Ames, whichever direction we're headed that next week. But hey, before we talk about Colorado next year, let's talk about this year, and let's talk about the newest comer this year. That is the Houston Cougars coming over from the American Conference. And it was an interesting year, honestly, for Dana Holgorsen and the Houston Cougars. Finished 8-5, 5-8 against the spread. We're not really good against the spread. They started slow, chaotic game against UTSA, which we will see the rematch on week 1. Rush, what are your initial thoughts on these Houston Cougars? Everybody watching on youtube.com/TCESGPN, you sees Rush's Houston Cougars background on his TV in the background, and he's rocking the Cougar shirt. What do you think of these Cougs, man? The other Cougs.
Not that I'm enjoying it too much, because we will have to eventually have the battle of the Cougars. I feel like there can only be one Cougar that can stay alive. And hey, the Mountaineers are going against both Cougars this year, so well, hopefully we shoot both of them. But hey, we'll see which Mountaineers Cougs. But anyway, these Houston Cougars, interesting team because, and I know we say that interesting word a lot, but they play to the level of their competition of what we saw last season. Like they had a 1-possession game against Rice. They had a 1-possession game against Texas. It seems like no matter who they play, it's at their level. And I think that's always just been the biggest criticism of this program, especially since Dana Holgorsen has taken it over. So I guess the question is coming in this year is, can they beat the teams they're supposed to beat and at least hang with the good Big 12 teams that they need to hang with to start establishing their name here in the Big 12?
Troy?
Well, we already know the answer to that. Since beating Arizona in 2018, Houston is 1-12 against Power 5 conference teams. So they are fucked. In the words of Paul Wall, they will be sitting sideways this year.
They were a weird team last year because they started 2-3, and you look back, they had a lot of expectations because they had the quarterback Clayton Tune coming back, who's now with the Cardinals. They started 2-3. They lost to Tulane in a heartbreaker. Fast forward, Tulane ends up being one of the better teams in college football. Beats USC in the Cotton Bowl, and they lost to Texas Tech in double overtime with Donovan Smith on the other side in Lubbock. Weird team, finally got it turned around, caught lightning in a bottle. They've won 20 games in the last 2 years, but it seems like the public narrative is that Dana Holgorsen's on the hot seat. Russ, do you think Dana's on the hot seat this year?
Yes.
Or does he get a year of cushion with the American to Big 12 transition year?
Well, both might be true. And here's the thing. Yeah. You and me both agree that we are Dana Holgorsen fans. I would have rather West Virginia paid him $4 million than paid Neil Brown $2.5 million. So what I'm about to say is not necessarily a criticism towards Dana Holgorsen, because we've seen him do amazing things like a quarterback like Skylar Howard, who beat Patrick Mahomes 2 times. And you're right, is that their actual record in Houston doesn't feel like what it is. My concern with Dana Holgorsen is he kind of comes across as a coach that's more on the tail end of things than in like the middle or peak of his career. And it seems like with his personality and stuff, he can get worn out of a place pretty quickly. Obviously, he's a fiery person. He will always stand up for himself. Like he's not backing down from anything. And it's one of the reasons we love him. And another reason why we critique him. It just kind of is who he is. So going back to your question is, yes, he's maybe more on the warm seat, but like if it's at the end of the season and say, I know they're over unders, 4.5, maybe they win 5 games, but it's kind of ugly. They may be like, all right, Dana, we'll chalk this up to first year in the Big 12. We'll let you stay around 1 year, but you are entering the next year in the hot seat. But dude, if this is a 2-3, maybe even ugly 4-win season, he might be gone. So I'm, like I said, love Dana Holgorsen, love what he did here at West Virginia. I'm very cautious about him this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with Dana back in the Big 12. He's got so much experience from his West Virginia days. But before we transition from 22 to 23 with the Houston Cougars coming to the Big 12, I got to talk to you about the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. It's perfect for the diehard DGen out there. Sign up today with the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon to get access to our exclusive contests, including the NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize, plus a monthly SGPN Stories podcast and an ad-free uncensored show highlighting the best stories from decades of being DGens. There's even a Discord channel for all you patrons out there. The Sports Gambling Podcast has always and will always give out their free picks for free. Emphasis for free. We do not charge here on the Sports Gambling Podcast. And if go over there to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And of course, that is the Sports Gambling Podcast/Patreon. And we are back on the Big 12 College Experience, talking Houston Cougars. Yeah, man. Let's look ahead. Go ahead, Troy. You want to make one last point about 2022?
Let me dive into this just because both of you guys are probably the biggest West Virginia fans that I know. Mm-hmm. If you were to describe Dana Holgorsen so far at Houston, what's different than when he was at West Virginia? And that's all I have to say.
I would say the lack of fiery fans. And I do think that fuels him.
For sure.
Because the concern with Houston, right, is like even when we're on Big 12 Twitter, it's like, where are the Houston fans, right? And like, if they start winning and stuff, of course they come out. But I think with Houston being the third largest media market out there and such a professional sports focus, there's definitely this. And then with them being the American, there wasn't as much of this kind of acceleration gas pedal kind of behind him, which I did think fueled him or gave him that extra oomph to keep him going. So that's what I would say.
The way that he's coaching the team is the exact same that, has already been on that, like every now and then they have occasional success, but really there's not any kind of sustained success to Dana Holgorsen's coaching style. And it might be talent related. It might be talent related, which could be the biggest issue. I mean, West Virginia, not to compare them to Houston in terms of talent, but when compared to the rest of the league, I think people would put them in a closer tier to one another in the amount of talent they have compared to teams like Texas, Oklahoma. I mean, even if you want to say like Baylor, Texas Tech, or something like that. But Dana's he's not a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator.
A really good one at that. But in terms of his success in West Virginia, I mean, he went 61-41, over 6 games over 500 in the Big 12. We've seen what Neil's done with quote unquote more talent, bringing guys in that have 3 and 4 stars. Dana was really good at finding the undercover guys, the junior college guys, and kind of molding them into a team. And everybody's like, how did Dana win so many games with not as much talent? Because Dana can, like you said, Dana can scheme up an offense like no other. I mean, he's a Mike Leach guy. I always thought offensively we always had a chance, and that's what I've seen the last couple years in Houston. But on the defensive side, things have been inconsistent, which is kind of a piggyback of what happened at West Virginia at the end as well.
Yeah, and I'll say 2 things about Dana here, though, and something I know you brought up the record and what was it, about 20 games over 500, Ryan. To remember, is right when Dana has dogs, there's a type of style that Dana needs to be a good head coach, and it's dogs. It's like you said, it's those community college guys, kind of the last chance you guys. Those are the people Dana relates to. But if he gets the 5-star athletes, the person there, he struggles in relating to them. Part 2 of that. Don't forget Dana's career here. You had 2 automatic wins every year against Iowa State and Kansas. So that is a little bit inflated his record here, because if you had the Iowa State and Kansas of what you had over Dana's tenure here at West Virginia, I don't know if it's the same record.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I mean, he also played Texas and Oklahoma every year, and now with the bigger Big 12, it's kind of an imbalanced schedule. So sometimes you can have a harder schedule versus a softer schedule. Let's look ahead though to 2023. because we all agree that they had success in the American, but this is a big transition year coming over from the American. Everybody watching on youtube.com, the over-under win total is set at 4.5. They're 120-1 to win the Big 12. Not very good. And 500-1 to win the national championship. I already read off Dana Holgorsen. He is in year number 5 already in H-Town. And he's, I know, he's 27-20. They kind of punted on the first year where he redshirted like 30 guys so that he could build up for his second and third year. 18-12 in the American. Back in the Big 12, though. Let's break down the transfer portal. Rush, where did they win the transfer portal, and will they miss anybody in specific to the transfer portal?
Well, I think it's what we talked about it. Like everyone else, it seems like in the Big 12, they have a former Texas Tech quarterback in Donovan Smith, and he played somewhat decent last year, and I think he could be a good one for Houston. Obviously, we know too, he took one of our running backs at West Virginia, a crowded running back room, and Tony Mathis. So definitely on the offensive end, definitely an offensive coach, and has that coordinator mind. Those are two big guys that he's going to need this year, both with Big 12 experience playing opponents that will really help him out or should help him out the first year Houston's here in the Big 12.
Well, they're
going. Troy, anything on Donovan Smith? I know you've been watching him for years at Texas Tech. So what do you think of Smith in Houston?
I can guarantee he's going to compile statistics. Just every ex-Texas Tech quarterback is probably better than your college's quarterback. Just at the end of the day, something about whatever Mike Leach got instilled there has stayed through the whole, like Graham Harrell. What's the other guy? Sonny, whatever, the old quarterback. That's both coordinators that have been at Texas Tech were the first guys that were there that were told we're going to throw the ball 60 fucking times a game. So if you see 3 receivers and 2 defensive backs, throw the fucking ball right away. Just find that guy and hit him. Donovan's going to continue to do that. And we know that Dana can scheme up offense. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But the biggest issue for them is they lose Alton McCaskill to Colorado because Dion goes there. And that guy is... He would have been the best player on Houston, and he's going to be the 3rd best running back on Colorado. So, and they both have the same, I guess Houston has a whole win more predicted than Colorado does. And if you look at both rosters side by side, you would never, ever think that Houston has a chance of competing with that Colorado team. So that's what really, really scares me. Like they did somewhat okay in the portal, finding guys to fill in spots. Like they get Tony Mathis from West Virginia, which, pretty dang good, shifty running back, but he's no Alton McCaskill. They get Latrell McCutcheon, McCutcheon, or however you pronounce it. Should be a pretty good cornerback, but again, the Big 12 is all spread numbers. It's kind of hard to play that D-back position and be, a really like meaningful player in every single game. This team is not good.
I see. I'm higher on this team because I like their offensive line. They got some continuity there, and I think they're actually pretty good on the defensive line, which is kind of weird because I feel like Houston's been good the last couple of years on the outside on the perimeter. This is kind of an opposite. We'll see how that translates to the Big 12 coming over with the obviously the bigger size and athleticism. So, I mean, I would probably say they won the portal just because they got their starting quarterback in Donovan Smith. We'll see how Donovan Smith does going over to Dana. I think he's a good fit because he's fearless, and I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's played in the Big 12. Him and Dana kind of are similar in terms of they both are fearless. They both have a chip on their shoulder, and they both have Big 12 experience. Tony Mathis as well. He was good at West Virginia, called really crowded backfield, with CJ Donaldson. So, yeah, no, it's an interesting team. I mean, I feel like I say that every episode with this damn league. So,
I would decide my transfer portal win and loss based on the Agwogbu kid from Oklahoma that plays linebacker. They got him to transfer to Houston. Now, the way that Oklahoma plays defense is mentally ill. So we really don't know. He could be a really, really good linebacker, and just the schemes that they were trying to use at Oklahoma to cover for their lack of defensive coverage deep made him look worse. Now, if he's allowed to get up in the box and do whatever he really wants to do, that could be a bit of a game changer. 6.5, 7 sacks or something like that. Houston's defense is pulling off an upset that we're not ready for.
The concern I feel like you have with if you want to talk about the transfer portal in general is you didn't have a lot of departures. We talked about the key departure, but you could fill it in.
A lot of linemen.
They did lose some linemen. However, if you don't lose too many people, and now you have what was considered a decent American roster, well, that decent American roster is now a Big 12 roster. So exactly. And then the guys that kind of made it pretty decent, some of them aren't there anymore. You did bring a couple people in, but I don't know. I think we're going to learn. This is that year where we find out in terms of head coach, how good of a head coach Dana Holgorsen is.
And we already know, but everyone else will get to see.
But this is that year, going back to the whole hot or warm seat or anything like that. This is it.
Dana's seat is on fire. He might only make it 6 games this year.
He's.
I would be willing to bet that Dana gets fired before Neil Brown.
That could happen because I think Neil will make it the whole year. I think the schedule is favorable early, and we'll dive into that schedule. But first, they're going to be underdogs all year, and we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on a ton of NFL player props and available in tons of markets. Plus, plenty of opportunities to win their daily MLB contest, and of course, make sure their Best Ball Mania, where you can get $3 million. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit up to $100. That's the UnderdogFantasy.com promo code SGPN. All right, we are back on the Big 12 College Experience, talking Houston Cougars. Lead it off. Let's go to a rematch of actually one of the better games in college football last year that I think nobody remembers. Week 1, we got the UTSA Roadrunners coming down to Houston to return a home and home here. They played in the Dome last year. This one's on Houston's campus. Where are we going here, Rush? I'll let you lead it off. You got a win or a loss for Dana and the boys in the opener?
I'm going to go loss here. I think UTSA gets their revenge, but I know we've talked about this on other previews, and we'll go down the list here because their opener, their first 5 games are all Texas games, and their first 6 of 7 are all Texas games. So it could be one of those. Maybe they do win here, but I have a bad feeling. Actually, we'll get to that there. I'll give them a loss to start out against UTSA. I think UTSA they're coming and they're swinging.
Troy,
you're on mute.
You're
Troy.
on mute.
I think UTSA has a significantly better roster. I would give this win to UTSA automatically and still might be doing that. But they're one of those teams that a dude like Donovan Casey could scramble around and make himself look really, really good against. Even if Texas Tech or even if Houston's not that great. I think this is almost a 50-50 game. I'm going to give it to UTSA. I think they have way too much continuity and way too much momentum as a program, whereas Houston's just kind of sputtering along. I'm actually kind of surprised that this is their first year in the Big 12. It would have been way cooler to bring them in 3 or 4 years ago when they would have been competing a lot better. But, yeah, I'm going UTSA here.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one. When we previewed the non-conference games, we talked about the line movement where Houston opened up as I think 1 or 2 point favorites, but it's flipped to UTSA Frank Harris back for another year for the Roadrunners. I kind of like the revenge angle too. I think this is a 50-50 game though, and I think it's going to come right down to the wire. I'll ride with you guys. I'll take the little brother angle here and take the TSA. Yep. Meep. The road dog victory. Shit, man, it doesn't get any easier here. This is a sneaky game as well because they got to go to Rice. I don't know. And this game's on the NFL Network. Do they go to 0-2 or do they get one here?
This is okay. Here's what I'll say at a very minimum, because I know sometimes we talk about groups. After this Rice game, they will be 1-1. But
JT Daniels is there.
I know, guys. They might be looking a little ahead to TCU here, the national champ. Guys, I'm going to start Houston off 0-2. They're going to lose at Rice.
I'm giving Rice this win, and I think it's going to be more convincing than the UTSA win.
Yeah, they were in a close game last year. I think Rice is going to win.
JT Daniels against ex-West Virginia coach Dana Holgorsen.
Let me ask you this. Do you think they start 0-2 or most likely 1-1? I'm saying 1-1. I don't think they're going to drop 2.
I'm going 60-40, 0-2 as the 60 and 1-1 as the 40%. I think it leans a little bit more towards they're just a bad football team.
I'll do one better, Troy. I'll go 61-39 that they lean 0-2.
We're getting prices righted here.
Yeah, there we go.
Big 12 college experience.
But no, I'm with you.
I'm on the other side. I think this team's better than you guys are giving credit for. I think there's a better chance to go 2-0, but I'm going 1-1. This is tough. I'll probably say that they're favored by a field goal here at right or closer to a touchdown.
I would say to any of the viewers, if they win that UTSA game, you better hammer Rice. There's 0% chance that this Houston team goes 2-0. I won't even give them a 1% chance. They're not winning both of these games.
I agree.
No chance.
We'll see, man. I think
they are bad.
I think you guys are sleeping on them, man. They got Big 12 experience.
We'll be sleeping all year on them,
dude.
And coach.
Don't get me wrong. Like in these non-con games, I want the Big 12 to win. I want to show that but it's just
they're bad. They're bad. They're a bad football team.
Dana just finds ways to win games. I'm telling you. So next up, the Big 12 opener, the inaugural. Everybody's going to be hyped up for this one. They've already sold this game out. I was seeing it today. TCU's coming to H-Town. Where are you going here, Rush?
I think this is the game. I'm serious. I haven't started 0-2. And then all of a sudden, because of TCU's last year with all their one possession games and everything like this, I'm actually going to give Houston a win in this one. I think Houston beats TCU.
See, I was thinking along the same route that going 0-2 would lead them to beat TCU, but there's no way I can take this Houston team over Texas Christian. The quarterback that they thought would be starting all year last year is going to get to play, whereas Houston's picking up a guy from another school that thinks they already have a better quarterback than this dude, going ahead and letting him go. I mean, I know Dana's pretty good, but I'm going with TCU here. I think it's 0-3 for Houston.
I'm on the Cougs, man. I've already talked about this game. I think this is when TCU finally loses a close game because I can already see this game just a wild ass 45-42 back and forth Big 12 game to start. It's a standalone box game Saturday night. I think Dana pulls one out of the rabbit's ass here and gets it done.
Here's the only where I would reverse this is if they do go 0-2 against UTSA and Rice, I think all of a sudden you're going to have some players that don't want to use up a year in eligibility and say, I'm out the door. And in that case, and in that case, TCU crushes Houston. And then after this game, Dana's done.
And looking ahead, who did TCU had their they got Nichols. The Colorado's week 1. They got SMU the next week, so it's not really a look ahead.
Not quite when they're going to fire Dana. You know when they're going to fire Dana. Both of you guys know exactly when they're going to fire Dana.
He will not. I will guarantee he does not get fired mid-year. He's won 20 games the last 2 years.
I would guarantee.
It's like the only program in the Big 12 that's done that.
Well, they weren't in the Big 12 when they were doing that. The only Power 5 win they have is in 2018 against Arizona.
You don't get fired for winning 20 games.
They don't have the
years.
talent to win games against good teams. They just don't. Like Houston has shown us that for multiple years.
We'll see, but I'm saying he's not going to get fired mid-year. He's at least going to get the full year. And if they have an absolute shit year, then they may move on from him. But
I would do a head-to-head bet against Moneyline Mac on when they get fired.
Yeah, I
will take 1 week against the field.
I will say I'll give you over under Halloween.
When did they play West Virginia? That's when he's getting fired.
The 12th. Over under Halloween. It's a good bet.
Under.
So, hey, we'll get to that game in a minute. So we got Sam Houston State. I got him at 2-1. Rush 1-2. Troy 0-3. This is a sneaky game here too, man.
I know, man.
It's not a hard schedule, but it's a tricky schedule. They're going to be in a lot of close games, is what I'm saying.
I think it's a hard schedule.
I mean, it's not West Virginia hard where you're playing 11 Power Fives, where you're going to Penn State.
It's relative. It's hard for Houston.
Not even close.
It's hard for Houston.
There's no way UTSA and Rice are the same as Penn State and Pitt.
Yeah.
Well, no. I agree. No. What I'm saying is that I think this, talking about Houston itself, I think for this Houston team and who they're built with, I think it is a hard schedule for them. I don't think it would be a hard schedule for West Virginia. Obviously, West Virginia's schedule is harder. I'm saying hard in terms of relative. I think this is a hard schedule for Houston.
I got you. It makes sense. So Sam Houston, win or loss. They are now in the Conference USA, by the way.
I'm giving him this win. Sorry, Rush.
Go ahead, Troy. No, Troy, let it rip.
I was going to say, I'm giving him this win over Sam Houston. And this is the one that gives Dana his job for 1, maybe 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Rush.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to give him a win here. But something tells me after this 4-game stretch, it's more likely that they're 1-3 than 2-2.
I would be taking the Sam Houston points.
Yes. I don't think any of the, yeah. So I'll go 2-2 after this point, but if they're 1-3, I'm not surprised at all. Hell, if they're 0-4, I'm not surprised at all.
So as a group, we got them 2-2. I got them at 3-1. They're going to be 3-1. I'm telling you, they're gonna. When everybody sleeps on Dana, everybody writes off Dana. That's when he comes out of nowhere.
He's not Mike Gundy. Howard, he's like Mike Gundy 0.75.
He won 10 games with Skylar Howard. I mean,
against who?
Only
playing high school teams. Yeah.
No, in the Big 12, he beat Texas. Texas was not back that year.
That's right.
Either.
That was the year they were 15th ranked, right? Texas was number 15, and West Virginia beat them.
I don't know. They're ranked every year, so I lose track.
Was Dana the coach? Was Dana the coach when they kicked Clemson's ass in that bowl game?
Yes.
I think that was that the first game he coached, or was that his first bowl game as a West Virginia coach?
No, that was it. That was his first bowl game, and then the next year they went to the Big 12. So yeah, dude, he's good as a dog, and when everybody's writing him off,
he's good until he gets to the Power 5 conference. Yeah.
Well, he's been in the Power 5. He's
as a coordinator.
He's the Power 5. No, as a head coach.
Yeah,
West Virginia.
He was doing okay, but you can't say that the West Virginia teams have the same amount of talent as this Houston team does.
We were way better than this team. West Virginia was way better than this team.
Dana Holgorsen has the second most active Big 12 wins among all the coaches right now.
Of course.
Not Steve Sarkisian, not Brent Venables, not even Chris Kleiman. He's not there yet. He and Matt Campbell. They're just behind Dana Holgorsen. The only guy that's ahead of him is Mike Gundy because Gundy's been there forever. But
and his mentor.
All right, they go to that is his mentor. They go to Lubbock here, September 30th. I don't feel good about this one. Where are you guys going here?
Yeah, same thing. Loss.
But I will say, every time they play Texas Tech, if you look back, it's a 1-score game. So I expect another crazy game. However, this is the Donovan Smith revenge game. So that's another element to this game. But I'll still lean to the Raiders here. So as a group, we got 2-3.
It's the Donovan Smith, we know exactly what you're going to do game is actually what it is.
Oh, that's fair.
We'll see. Hey, this might be the game out of nowhere where Dana pulls one out of his ass and Donovan Smith throws for 6 touchdowns and we realized that Texas Tech might be a little overrated. Here's the game that everybody's got scheduled. Thursday, October 12th, FS1. Troy's got him getting fired at this game. The West Virginia Mountaineers go down to Houston. I'm torn on this game. Russ, where are you going?
So I am going, both of them, with it being a Thursday night game, we'll have the week prior off. They play Thursday.
10 days off.
Yeah, we've already talked about it with West Virginia. This is how West Virginia gets one of their wins. They're going to beat Houston. And Houston.
The Holgorsen is going. West Virginia is going to win. It's not going to be like a blowout or anything.
Oh, I can guarantee it won't be a blowout.
West Virginia is going to win this game, and it's going to be on an idiotic offensive call that Dana Holgorsen tries to make, and that ends his career as Houston head coach after this loss to West Virginia, sitting at 1-5.
I'm gonna go Mountaineers. I don't like it. This is probably one of my flip a coin games. I got him at 3-3. I don't have him at 1-5. He's not gonna be 1-5.
I will say, if you look at who they have next on the schedule, firing Dana Holgorsen would really help.
I agree.
Of what occurs next.
I'm queuing that one up right now because they got the soft asses from Austin coming in. So as a group, we got them at 2-4. Texas, for all these years, has made sure Houston cannot get in the Big 12. This is their one crack at them. So this is like back-to-back Super Bowls for Dana. And Dana's got a winning record against Texas, by the way, at West Virginia. In his years at West Virginia, he's always played Texas well. Rush, any chance the Cougs pull off a miracle here?
So it looks like Texas has a bye week before, and then they have BYU. So they're not going to be. I think Texas is going to win this game.
Now, my only hope for Houston here is if Dana gets fired and everybody is amped and pumped and they can somehow win this game like 21-17, 17-14, something like that. But to be completely honest, Texas is probably going to win this game like 38-14. There's no chance in Houston other than everything falls into place perfectly. And there's a bunch of people fired and like you get the awesome bowling ball 7-10 split and accidentally the pin like hits the side and knocks Texas out, which we would be very okay with, but I just don't see happening.
Texas is going to beat Oklahoma. They're going to be told all bye week how great they are. They're going to completely no-show this game. Dana's going to pull a miracle in Houston. They're going to win a walk-off field goal like Texas Tech last year. Houston wins at the gun. They will storm the field against the Longhorns on Saturday, October the 21st. I'll go 38-35. Cougars win. As a group, we got them 2-5. I got them 3-4, I believe. No, wait. Yeah, 3-4. Troy has them 1-6.
No, didn't
Russ,
you have
what
them?
do you have?
You didn't have them at 3-5. Didn't you have them?
Sorry, I have them 4-3. I have them 4-3.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you have them 3-1 in the first four? Yeah,
yeah, so 3-1, drop 2. Everybody's gonna, they're gonna.
You are crazy.
I'm not crazy. I've seen Texas do this for 15, 20 years. They always drop a game. They lost to Kansas.
Houston doesn't have an over-under of 4.5 and be half a game away after 5-6 games. No way.
If Texas could lose to 0-10 Kansas, they can lose in Houston. Rush, what do you have, Matt? You have Matt 2-5. 2-5. Oh God, they're gonna get drilled this game. So coming off the miracle win that I have them at, they're gonna go get absolutely housed in the Little Apple. I'm assuming all three of us have a loss.
Yeah, you're not going to K-State and winning this game.
No,
and I'll make it easy. They're not going to Waco either.
They're not going to Waco. No, they're not. Game either.
And just FYI too, the more losses stack up, the more transfer portals just keeps going up, and you have a worse and worse team out there.
So I have 4-5. Troy has 1-8. Rush 2-7. as a group 2-7 as well. Hey, a rematch of the good old days in the American. Cincinnati coming to town. This feels like a good spot for the Cougs to get right.
I agree. I think, well, we talked about Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is maybe the most just unknown team in the Big 12 this year coming up, and definitely a down year for them. Cincinnati's going to lose this game to Houston, and I hope I picked that in the episode before that was Cincinnati, because I'm trying to remember. I got to start making these picks a lot. If I pick the other one, it's a 50-50 game. We'll see what's. I mean, when you get to this late in the season, anyway, who knows what the storylines are.
No. You're benedicting now.
I don't know if I am yet. I don't know if I am. I better go replay real quick though.
This is what happens when you pick every game twice. You don't remember who you picked, and you got to pick it when we get to November 11th. Where you going, Troy?
That I'll be more serious about and mean that one.
I'm thinking about benedicting here because the Cincinnati defensive line is going to be playing for NFL draft picks. The Houston offensive line is going to be playing for maybe we can get 3 or 4 wins. Because of that, even at home, I'm taking Cincinnati. I think that defensive line has 3 guys that could be drafted in the top 2 rounds. And I mean, I know Houston kept a couple of offensive linemen, but they lost a couple of pretty good guys on that offensive line in the transfer portal. And if they're already reeling at this point, I think Cincinnati goes to Houston and beats them.
I got Houston kind of like whenever I say they're going to win, a close one. So I'll take them in a close one. It's an interesting schedule spot at this point for Cincinnati. They go that stretch where they play UCF, West Virginia, and Houston. I'll lean to the Cougs to get it done. As a group, we got them at 3-7 with 2 to go. And here comes Mike Gundy with the OAN shirt, baby, coming in with the Big 12 experience shirt as well. Gundy versus Dana, potentially. We'll see if Dana's still there. You riding with your pokes, Troy?
Now, you can tell I'm an Oklahoma State fan here because I gave Houston this win. I think if Dana's still around, they have a chance. Now, if Dana's gone, this is an Oklahoma State easy win. So if my schedule goes as according to I'm giving it, Dana's been gone for a month, and Oklahoma State wins this game.
Oklahoma State wins this game too. And hey, I'll put another prediction out there that Dana Holgorsen is Gundy's next offensive coordinator. Could you imagine those two in a locker room together? That would actually be perfect.
I was thinking that if he gets fired after that West Virginia game, he would get brought back to Stillwater like that.
That's what I agree. Those two, that covering that team next year with those two in it would be
the mullet and the skullet, man.
Oh,
come on,
my goodness! Could you
just
imagine?
Tell Dana to shave everything else off, everything, and just leave it on the back. Have the full on. Who was the old ESPN guy that did the Hard Rock commercial?
Oh, Clayton, John Clayton.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Man.
Go for the John Clayton skullet, and then Dana's back. Like that's all he has to do is cut his hair a little bit.
Troy, I'm with you. I kind of like Houston here to pull the upset because Oklahoma State does randomly drop a late game that makes absolutely no sense. So I'll give Dana over his former mentor, former offensive coordinator in the year 2010. They know each other very well. I'll give it to the home team, and that gets us to the final week of old UCF very, very Golden Knights against the Houston Cougars. Rush, what do you have here, and what does the Houston Cougars finish their first year in the Big 12 at?
So for me, this game is going to be a game of who wants it less. It kind of just is going to feel like I don't know if much teams will have, because you get to this point in the season, especially when teams know their fate, plus there's injuries, people are already gone into the transfer portal. It's just there's so much unknowns at the end of a college football season. Something tells me this is just going to be one of those, like, who wants it less, and whoever wants it less will lose that game. I'll give it to Houston. They'll go into Orlando, get this one out. Maybe it's a gross, disgusting, rainy game. I'll go Houston, because I'll also say this is I definitely think Houston goes for the under in terms of their win total 4.5, and something it screams me that Houston will win 4 games this year. So maybe they'll end up actually winning the Rice game and losing this game, but I don't know. So the feeling I get from this game is who wants it less. That's the only feel. Maybe, who knows? Maybe UCF is having hell of a year type of deal and just overlooks Houston and is getting ready for a bowl game or that type of thing too. That's a real thing as well. So I'll pick Houston in this one.
See, I've got the overlook working the other way. I think UCF might be competing for a Big 12 title in year 1. And with John Reese Plumlee, I think it might come down to points differential, which makes me think that UCF wins this game like 58-14. Just attempting to run it up and maybe win that tiebreaker of some sorts.
With the way that we got this schedule laid out, potentially they're coming off back-to-back home wins. I'm with you, Troy. I'm going to take UCF, the very, very Golden Knights. Shout out to our UCF fans out there. I actually had him, by the way, clinching a bowl game against Oklahoma State. Dana Holgorsen is going to go back to the freaking Holiday Bowl for the 10th time in his career, it feels like. So I got him at 6-6. Troy, you got him at what, 3-9?
I've got him at 1-11.
Didn't you? I thought you had one in the non-con, Sam Houston.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one I have him all year long.
Oh, didn't you say Oklahoma State?
I said maybe if Dana was still the coach, but since I have him getting fired after West Virginia, no, I have them going 1-11 in one of the worst years in Houston football history.
So Troy and I are complete opposites on this team. Rush, you're in the middle somewhere at 3.
Somewhere,
right?
4 wins. Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
You're right at the Vegas line. So
yeah,
as a group, we finished up. We gave them, we didn't give them Oklahoma State. We gave them Cincinnati. We gave them Sam Houston. And then we gave them Rice.
Yeah,
it was
Rice.
One of the two.
I said UCF. I think they beat UCF.
No, but as a group, we said.
Oh, as a group. Yep.
Yeah.
2
Those
out
are
of
the
3.
three. So
I had them lose against Rice.
Yeah, but we both had them winning.
Oh, I thought. Wait, so we had them as a group 0-2.
Yeah,
I think we got to go back. Okay, so as a group, 3-9.
If you picked him to lose to Rice, I did as well.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had him losing to UTSA, losing to Rice, losing to TCU. No, we had him beating TCU. That was the one. I got to mix up.
Yeah. I'm
TCU, Sam Houston, 2-2. Then we gave them Cincinnati, and that was the final one. So as a group, we got 3-9. Rush is 4-8. Troy 1-11. Me 6-6. Book
you
your
guys
Cactus Bowl.
You really think they're going to beat UTSA, or they're going to lose to UTSA and Rice and then beat a Power 5 team?
Weird things have happened, man.
Yeah, it's Dana. Everything that doesn't make sense is Dana. It's the Red Bull coach, baby.
Dana hasn't beat a Power 5 team at Houston ever.
Yeah, he's only been there 4 years. I mean, he's, like I said, he's got a winning record in the Big 12. I'm telling you, you're sleeping on
got to have
our
at
guy,
least
man.
9 or 10 chances in 4 years
see.
to beat a Power 5 team, right?
So last year, they lost a double overtime at Texas Tech. The year before that, they lost to Texas Tech. So he can't beat Texas Tech right now. Then the COVID year got completely wiped out. And then the other year, they redshirted. They lost to Oklahoma on the road. So those are his Power 5 games. It's going to start this year, man. So you heard it, everybody. We're on the under, except for me. I'm on the over. I'm backing my guy, man. I'm going to have a Red Bull vodka in honor of Coach Red Bull Dana Holgorsen. I got you guys going to the Cactus Bowl or whatever it's called now and out in Arizona at the Diamondbacks. But before we get out of here, Rush, tell everybody where to find you.
At Rambling Rush, Twitter, Instagram. Also, the West Virginia show, Ryan and I do. At Ryan and Rush Show, Twitter and Instagram as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can, please.
And Mr. Houston, Dana Holgorsen, hater, Big 12 guru.
Until he goes back to Oklahoma State, I hate Dana Holgorsen. As soon as he becomes a Cowboy, he's my favorite. The only guy with the better hairdo than Mike Gundy, if he chooses. You can find me on Twitter at Troy Chewning, just my full name, and on Instagram at Troy Drinks Miller. But I'm not nearly as active there. You're gonna want to go and interact with me on Twitter.
You're in for something if you do that.
Yeah, you might get flamed. You never know.
Hey, and I am at moneyline_Mac. Hey, make sure you leave help us out over at the Big 12 College Experience, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Smash that like button. It goes a long way. We're going to be here for the long haul. We're going to continue these preseason episodes. Next up, we got the BYU, the other Cougars.
The better Cougars.
Are the better Cougars. But yeah, we're on the under. I'm on the over. And I can't wait to bet the money line against those soft-ass Longhorns on October the 21st with you Houston Cougar fans. And let it ride.